ladies and gentlemen, I woke up today and I told myself I want to be surrounded by greatness. So, of course, I had to bring in my good friend Adam Mesh here to talk about the market so we could learn about his background, perhaps give you some trading tips, and talk a little bit about his feud with Drake. Because before Kendrick Lamar, Adam Mesh was destroying Drake on the internet, and we will get into that a little bit later. So, Adam, how are you doing today?
Good, Mike. Nice to be here, and I'm excited that we're starting this new thing that I hope becomes somewhat of a habit, routine, ritual. I don't know what the best word is, but the plan is to have this kind of conversation every week, huh?
Yeah. So we are obviously improvising. We're going to roll with this. We're going to have fun. With market people, a lot of times it's best to just roll the dice and see what happens. So if I ran into you in the elevator and I said, "Who are you?" what would you tell me?
Probably just say I'm Adam. And that a big Zoom always makes me feel awkward like this. Yeah, quickly. First of all, definitely let's zoom back to me. Yeah, I can't look at just me. That's too hard. Or I need to make like something else on the screen. Self-conscious.
Okay, it's okay.
No, I'm someone who says whatever they're thinking, as authentic as can be, which genuine, I think people appreciate. But I'm a trader. I've been trading since 1997, stocks, options, everything. And just love it. I grew up, my first job was on a trading floor with rows of people where we were all communicating with each other. Same time as a lot of the big T3 personalities, we all kind of came up together. And what the internet allowed us to do was recreate that floor, but virtually. So even now, just having a conversation where people can comment, communicating, I'd say this that I think is important. I feel more myself talking to 1,000 people than I do one-on-one. Like the bigger the audience, the more I feel like I tend to gravitate towards my most comfortable state. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, well, I think one of the biggest benefits of the internet is you can find your crowd. I mean, we've seen with a lot of people out there, a lot of our customers, a lot of people in our community, they don't have any friends that are traders in real life. So, there might be 2 or 3 people in each city around the world that are tuning in because they happen to be into this one really thing and they want to talk about it.
Well, now they have a new friend. Now they have 2 new friends.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask you sort of an odd question, but it feels like there's not a lot of people that have been around for that long. There's been a lot of ups and downs in the market. A lot of people didn't, they couldn't get over the elimination of decimals. Yeah. So fractions. So why are you still doing this after so long?
Well, I'm definitely not doing it the way I used to. So I evolved, and that's probably the reason I'm still doing it. Like we've learned with markets and everything else that you have to be willing to change. And so I think I'm always like a student in the game, always trying to learn, get better, adjust, understanding that discipline is the most essential intangible of trading there is. So playing games with myself, allowing me to kind of find my discipline, which is always a challenge. So I've done it through a number of different ways, but when I started trading, it was fractions, and I had $1 million of buying power, and then if I needed it, they'd give me another $1 million, somebody else's money, and I would just go every day. And what's interesting is from that point I was trading, and I don't know, I'm sure the audience is all different ages and stuff like that, but when I started trading, I had no wife, I had no kids. And so I was kind of like Maverick and Top Gun in the first one, like never known loss, never believed the market would go down, and I could ride dips, and I had no fear because the money had no meaning to me. And that was a free feeling. Like I could go on swings where I ride it all the way down and all the way back up without flinching, because I lived in a 1-bedroom apartment converted to 2 with a roommate, and the only thing I wanted to buy was dinner. So what happens is I would have 6-figure swings. I had a number of 6-figure daily swings in the market. I would trade big. Like when I say I have $1 million of buying power, $2 million of buying power, it was always all in. My money was always in play every day. And that lasted for a long time. But then fractions became decimals, computers came in, markets changed, slowed down, where those 6-figure swings were not available for $1 million. You would need a lot more money to have 6-figure swings. So the markets changed, and I changed. I got married, I had children, and in a sense, candidly, lost my edge, where I no longer had the stomach to ride the markets down. It was a respect for the money at that point, where I knew what it was worth. And I knew $100,000 in a day was something that could be compounded and worth $1 million in 10 years. And what am I doing? I just wasted it, So I had to adjust my style to where I was at in my life. And fortunately, I had success. So I never traded out of a necessity. I never traded from a place of having to pay my rent and stuff like that at that point. Because it built up a lot of money quickly.
I was going to say, would you say you were going through your Rocky 3 phase where you had a bunch of success and it made you soft?
Yeah. Well, so that, I don't know. Responsible, soft.
Oh, the eye. No, I don't know. No, maybe the eye of the tiger just eased back a little bit. That's more what I'm asking.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yes.
Okay. All right. So
that's a good analogy, and thank you for. I love Rocky. I mean, favorite movie.
Yeah. So yeah, isn't that funny? Every single trader you can bring up a Rocky reference, and they get every single one.
Yeah.
From every single movie. But I want to talk a little bit about your personality, because you have this I know you're a very entrepreneurial guy, and at least early in your trading career, you were very risk friendly. I mean, did you have that type of personality outside of markets?
Yes. I was always different. And I read this. I read an article in Maxim magazine once, and it was talking about all the different kinds of extreme personalities. And they had like skydiving in there and motorcycle riding, and they had day trading, which I was doing at the time, as one. And so it's interesting. Like, I wouldn't jump out of an airplane. I wouldn't swim with sharks. But when it comes to speculation and being able to put my money where my mouth is on things, and certainly when I believe in myself, anything where I have some control, yeah, I have a very high degree of risk. I mean, it was insane when I was younger, like insane. And so even now, my definition of risk, which I think is control and tame, and that's why I was thinking about the Rocky analogy, is it's less than it used to be, but it's still greater than most, for sure. And I think it's with all business things, the ability to bet on yourself, the ability to Tom Sosnoff, who I'm a big fan of, calls it positive drift. Just the ability to make decisions quickly, a lot of decisions quickly. I do that. I'm not someone who's going to hesitate. I'm not someone who's going to like deliberate for days and weeks and months. It's either in or out, and I decide quickly, and I don't regret that decision either way.
Okay, I think that's a good introduction to the whole concept of YOLO. So if for those of you out there who don't know, Adam was on a reality show a long time ago called Average Joe, and he popularized the term YOLO, which stands for you only live once. Drake tried to take credit for it later. If you Google Adam Mesh, this will come up everywhere. There's a million articles. Like, you could see Know Your Meme covered it, Vanity Fair covered it. Here's the bum Drake trying to steal Adam's thunder. But I mean, do you actually use that as a basic life philosophy?
I never even saw that thing that you just put up, by the way. That was pretty cool. Let me see that again. What's this? On this day, 20 years ago, Adam Mesh launched the You Only Live Once clothing line, making it the earliest known use. Let's Know Your Meme. That's awesome. So what was the question?
I mean, do you actually embrace that as just a basic life philosophy?
Yeah, and you know, it means different things to different people. The way I came up with YOLO was a time in my life where I'd done the TV shows. I was flying all over, like Tonight Show, Ellen, like literally like every talk show there was. I was doing. I was getting paid to appear at parties, and it was a belief to live every day to its fullest. And the old school phones, they had the banners where you could write things, but I couldn't fit "You only live once," so I just wrote YOLO, and that's how it started. And it was a reminder just to live each day, and I do. I think you want to just, you know, what do they say? Live as there's no plan, as if you're going to live forever. Live as if there's no tomorrow. And I think every day I really do try to enjoy it, make it better than the last, have fun. I think it's a battle. I learned, not to get philosophical, but hey, you know, whatever. We have an audience. I learned very much during COVID. I thought COVID was a really difficult time where all of a sudden I was at home a lot and there was a lot of negative news and energy. And I always consider myself a really happy, high energy person. And I found that I had to I was like going through a phase where I was watching all the Walking Dead episodes. So like imagine feeling dark and depressing and just watching Walking Dead episode over after. Anyhow, I just realized that even if you're a happy person, the act of being happy and smiling and having positive energy is just like working out to get muscles. You have to work to do that. It won't just be your default setting no matter who you are. You don't wake up happy. You don't remain happy. You have to commit to that. And then once I got that, it kind of gave me another kick and took me to a new level. So yeah, I'm always doing things every day new like this. And yeah, just trying to make things better.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. There is science that shows that your own body language and your posture and your facial expressions actually affect your mind. I mean, so do you believe that sort of, because a lot of people are talking about psychology, confidence, all these things. So you believe it comes from action?
Yeah, I think your brain is a muscle, and so your mindset, you have to use it, you have to exercise it, and you have to commit to working it. So yeah, and I notice, you know, Scott Redler, like I know he's a big personality, like, and you see he has a lot of routines, right? Very disciplined, very routine. And I think that's the same thing, like getting in that mindset, making sure you do the things that you want to do on a daily basis to lock in. And everyone has their own. But it's like, if you decided you were going to try to get in shape, you can't just go right to running a marathon because that's not sustainable. So finding a routine that works for you, that allows you to get to that mindset you need to be at, is important.
Okay. So what does your routine look like?
So my routine is, well, I get up at like 6 something in the morning, take my youngest daughter to school, which is probably my favorite part of the day, just being in the car with her. So it's 5 minutes, just funny. Come home, work out. I have CNBC playing, but I'm not listening to it. I just want to see what's in play, what the headlines are, listening to music, working out, get coffee, then sit in front of my desk like at 8:30 to see what the pre-market action is. And then I know right now the way the markets have changed, especially for the last couple of years, is all the action is going to be in the first hour. So I want to be warmed up, ready to go from 9:30 to 10:30. Then I'm just making business phone calls, doing other things throughout the day. Like today we're doing this call, then I'm going for lunch with bankers. I would like to trade the close. I like to definitely see how the market closed to lead me into the next day. So 9:30 to 11, 3 to 4 is trading. So I shortened my trading routine because when I was younger, it used to be pre-market all the way through post-market earnings through 5. I would go 8 to 5. I wouldn't even leave for lunch. I would have someone bring me lunch. Now it's a lot less. And I use options and I do swing trading and stuff like that. Then when the market closes, for me, my kids are at an age where they're in middle school and high school, and that just goes so fast. Like, So I try to do whatever I can with them around there, like however I can help. Um, and then wind down and start a new day. But I'm also always trying to create and have new conversations around business ideas, whether in the trading world or even just the idea, like I said, that positive drift of having positive actions. So always working on things and having conversations. And like, if I have a thought and I like it, I don't just say, oh, that's a good idea. I literally try to move the needle on it and see how far I could push thoughts. Sometimes it ends up going nowhere. But sometimes they end up evolving into journeys, which are really fun.
Okay. Now, do you like trading these days more than even, let's say, back in the 90s, 2000s? I mean, I feel like the market has sort of morphed into an entertainment vehicle because now it feels like with social media, there's so many characters. We had a discussion last week about how like CEOs all of a sudden are going crazy. I mean, Elon Musk, and then, Alex Karp is starting to get out there. Jeff Bezos is getting a little more edgy. I mean, overall, like, do you enjoy the market more now than you did before?
Well, I think if you're a kid who plays sports, you have a number of different ways to be competitive. And as you get older, business is probably one of the only ways you could be competitive. And trading is still, for me, I always felt like an athlete in terms of trading, that even though I don't feel like it's me versus other people, I do feel like I'm performing and competing. And there's days where you feel on, days where you feel off. And just, I'll share my screen real quick. How do I do that?
Hit present, then share screen.
I gotta go over here. So, so like this morning I came in and, am I sharing it? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So this morning I came in and it's all, again, that positive drift. So I sat down yesterday afternoon. I was watching the market close. We looked strong, but I knew I had a CPI number and some puts on the Q seemed cheap. And I didn't have any really bearish positions. So I bought some puts on the Qs just to hold into the morning, kind of as a hedge against my other stuff. I also was trading a little bit, like I lost $50 trading SMCI after earnings. I bought 60 shares just to see how I felt in it. I bought it right away, went down. I'm like, oh, and then I saw it open 3 points higher this morning. And so SMCI post earnings on my attention. So these were the two trades. I came in with the Qs. It was $1,000 gift on the CPI number. Sold those right away. If you see, if I do the Qs, if you can see on the right-hand side. So I bought 16 after hours. I bought these at 4:01 p.m. yesterday and sold some. And I was like, I'm just going to hold like a $500 risk. So I bought them for 88 cents and sold them for $247 and $215 right away this morning. So that was a great flip, $1,000 to start the day. And then I started watching SMCI and it was going up. And when the market opened so weak, I was like, okay, this looks like it wants to surge. And so I bought options, and you can see the SMCI trade here. I bought here. There's the 50 shares I traded after hours yesterday to get a feel for it. And I instantly lost like $50. But it's like a rocket. You get punched in the face once, just like a little punch. Like, fine, I'm in the fight. Let's see what's going on. So this morning I bought the calls, the 42 calls for $1.23. Sold a little more. Then I bought the 45 calls for 55 cents because it looked like it was going to break out through its highs. And then I sold the ones I bought for $1.23, $1.47, $1.75. And then those 45 calls that I bought for 55 cents, I was selling at $1.10. And you could see in SMCI, I made $1,200. The Qs, I made $1,000. And I feel good. A couple $1,000 in the market. And everything else is my longer term options trades. So there's that positive drift. So I made a bunch of good decisions. Now I'm done for a couple hours. I'll watch again, see how the market closes, make sure I don't do anything to mess up my day, and make sure that I'm still in motion for tomorrow. I think I just always want to kind of be in sync with the market.
Oh, okay. So when you have a winning day like this, so like you made a few $1,000, which is good. It's not going to change your life, but it's good. Do you ever feel FOMO, like I should have bought 10 times more? I should have bought 1,000 calls or 2,000 shares. Like, do you ever does that ever enter your head?
Of course. Of course. Yes. Yeah. I just learning to, when I'm in the best mindset, it doesn't. When I'm in the best mindset, I'm trading a small amount. I'm just making different trades, pushing the ball forward, winning. When I'm like, I want to make a big move and I actually succumb to that and I take on the bigger size, then it's harder to stay in the positions and I don't play it out the right way I should. Now, there are those times where you catch like a post-Fed announcement trade where you get an extreme move and you make $30,000 in a day and you're like, this is awesome. And then you want that again and you chase it. And most of the time it's not there. Most of the time, I think in the markets, they're giving you a little bit and you have to take a little bit. And if you try to put on too big a size or get caught or chased, then it's not going to work. So I think learning to control that urge is important for success.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It seems like a lot of people are on the hunt for an endless dopamine rush. So, and today there's endless information firing at you. You can't escape it. So how do you stay focused on doing the right things and avoiding going over that edge?
I have reminders written down, taped to my computer still. Literally just so it's sitting right there. But it's like, it's really knowing yourself. Like for me, like sleep is important. Like if I don't sleep and I'm overtired and I start to trade, I might not be able, it's almost like alcohol. Like my inhibitions are gone and I might make a stupid decision just because I'm tired. So knowing myself, like if I'm not in a mindset where I should be trading, don't trade. And also I do it with buying power, honestly. I keep a certain amount in my account so that I can't put $1 million into play because I don't want that feeling. So I trade with less than that now so that like I still trade with 6 figures, but it's, for me, it's not 2% of my wealth. So it's like, it's very under control. Like if my entire account went to 0, it wouldn't change my life at all. That's the level I'm at for trading right now because I've had that success, but I've learned to care just as much about, like, me being up a couple $1,000s today feels like what it used to be when I made $20,000. Like I made all the right decisions. That's what I like to keep in check. Am I making good decisions? And then even more rewarding is I have, and I don't want to make it seem like on my very first call I'm trying to sell service. I'm not asking to buy anything today. But so I sold we should get into this a little bit. I started trading in 97. And then I had a trading company with Sean. It's a couple with Sean. Love working with Sean. Working with Sean again. And then it evolved into starting. That was an actual trading company. Then it started into the online doing subscriptions and trading education and newsletters. And I built that business for 15 years. And I was running a number of different services. I had calls Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, all these different products. And then a company, Tiffin, came in and they said, we want to buy you. And it was great. I sold it in 2021 and stayed on with them for 3 years. And then they realized everything they're doing around AI and finance isn't going to involve options. And a lot of my options products were still in play. And pretty much I was able to get that back last year. And it's pretty cool to get to start your company over after running it for 15 years. Cause it's like, all right, what do I want to do different? Like, what was I doing that I don't want to be doing anymore? And for me, it was all these different services, because then there was a feeling of having to put trades out on all these different services, even if the market wasn't calling it for it. So I was like, I'm just going to do one service, which is called Mesh Prime. And I'm going to put on whatever I think the best trades are every single day. And so all my calls are around Mesh Prime. All my trades are in one portfolio. And we just looked yesterday. It started in August of last year. And we've had every month has been a winning month. And everything we're doing. And we built this portfolio where we're collecting premium. We're collecting dividends. I'm always making whatever trade I want to make. And I love it. Like, I love that people win. I love seeing the number of people on that call grow every week, which means we're doing a good job and they're happy to be there. And so when you win for other people, that's also really rewarding. You know, it's interesting. So the other night, my daughter was at a party and she was supposed to get picked up at 11 something, but the snow started to come down really bad. So at like 9 something, I'm like, I don't know when these roads are going to get bad. I'm going to go now and wait there because I'm just listening to the Knicks Celtics game, which ended up being horrible. So I'm just going to go wait there in the parking lot. So I'm sitting there and the truck pulls up next to me, and it's one of the other dads who's an oncologist, a surgeon, cancer doctor. We roll down our windows, we're talking, and I'm like, how you doing? He's like, just patients every day, surgery doesn't stop, never break. It's really hard. He's like, I'm always doing something. And I was like, but at least you're helping people every day. And I know it's hard, but like every day you're making someone's life better to the best of your ability. And when I was sitting there just trading for myself, my own account, day trading, I always used to say, what am I doing for the world? Like, great, I'm making money, I could donate to charity, but I felt like there was no benefit I was offering to anyone else. But when I started my trading company and I started educating people and putting on trades where other people could do well and showing them a skill that they could use for themselves, that feeling was rewarding in a different way.
Okay. So I want to talk a little bit about, so you talked about how good it feels to sort of like restart your company.
Yeah.
I know I found that in my life, when I worked really hard for something, once I got it, I hated it. I didn't care. I don't know how you are, but like, do you find like the building and the hunt more exciting than the end point?
It's kind of like if you bet $1,000 on the Super Bowl, if you took the Chiefs, you'd be like, oh, so annoying. I just lost $1,000. I knew the Philly, like, it would bother you. But if you took the Eagles after the first quarter, you're like, okay, I won. Should have bet more. You're right. Like, never happy. Never always like, how could I have made a better decision? Right? Yeah. The hunt and the growth and the journey is unbelievable. There's a book by Phil Knight who started Nike called Shoe Dog. And it's a great book. Highly recommend it to anyone who wants to read it. And it's about how he builds Nike. It starts from the beginning, how he builds his company up, and now it's worth billions of dollars. And like, what would you do different? What would you say about this? And he said, it's all about the journey and the people who you're on the journey with. So yeah, like the journey of building things and the people you work with on that journey is everything. That's who you're spending every day with. And, that's what you remember and that's what you appreciate. Yeah. So absolutely. The little wins, the early on proof of concept, much more rewarding than the set it and forget it cruise control of having hit your goal. Then it's like, what do I do next?
Yeah. Because I mean, if you look at anybody that's super successful in business, they kind of go until the end. They don't really retire. Like, I mean, I remember when I was in college, I worked for a small real estate company, and a lot of the guys I interacted with, and they were like multimillionaires, gigantic real estate portfolios, and they would be like 85 or 90 and still going. Like,
that's why they were 85 or 90.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer that most people should not. It sounds crazy. I don't ever want to retire. I want to die on the job doing something.
I think it's healthy. I think it's important. My dad's turning 80 today. My mom's 75. She still does real estate. He still helps a little bit. but yeah, and that was like they owned clothing stores, and then they got into real estate as a second act and did really well with that. And I think it kept them younger. It definitely kept them better with technology and things like that. But yeah, that's an interesting thing. When I sold the business, which was a defining moment, it was like a life event, something that I worked a long time for that I didn't even ever really think about doing until it happened. I was like depressed afterwards. I would never let myself get depressed. I'd work hard not to do that, but felt empty. I thought it would feel amazing every day, and it felt bad. And I was like, and I definitely, it was an uncomfortable feeling. It was weird. It was not how I expected to feel.
I've had the same exact experience. Hit a goal and it was like, what's the point of anything else? It's just the hunt. I don't know. To me, the money and whatever success is great, but I do feel like the hunt and the chase is where all the excitement comes from. Okay, so you talked a little bit.
That's why people play golf, because you always suck at it. So you could just keep playing because you're never going to reach where you want to be.
Yeah, you absolutely need drive. I mean, bad pun, but for golf. But yeah, golf, you really need to be driven to pursue golf. Okay, so you talked a little bit about how you enjoy helping traders develop and succeed on their journeys. So, there's a lot of people out there that struggle, even in bull markets. They find a way to lose money. Now, what do you think most people are doing wrong?
I think size and number of positions is essential. So you don't want to just trade one stock. You don't want to trade 50, but you want to have a good number of positions that you're in, small size. So if you have small size and a good number of positions, that's the ultimate positive drift. So you're watching the market, you're in different things, you're navigating, your size isn't to the point where you're going to make an emotional decision. And I also think, and this is important, I'm always doing this, is reminding yourself to have a plan and then every day execute that plan. So like if I'm trading well, I have a theory. I'm thinking about why I'm getting into something and why I'm going to stay into something until a certain point and why this trade makes sense. If I'm not trading well, I'm like, I think the market's going down today. I'm going to buy 100 puts on the Qs. And next thing you know, you're wrong. You just lost $10,000. That's a bad day for me. That's an impulsive, short-term speculation, no real plan, just trying to trade. But like a stock right now that really has my eye is Uber. And this is where I'm going to form a plan around it and strategically look to trade it. Because like, look at Palantir. Palantir, we were trading it in the 20s in August last year. 6 months later, that $23 stock hit 115. And so I stopped trading that stock in the 40s or 50s because I was like, it already doubled. And then it doubled again. Same thing with NVIDIA. So you can't give up on these stocks. You want to find what's good. So Uber is a stock right now. It had earnings. It traded down from the high 60s to 64, popped right back up to 67. Then it came out that Bill Ackman owns 30 million shares and thinks it's one of the most undervalued stocks. Now moved up to the 70s. Now people are talking about the fact that the real beneficiary of autonomous driving won't be Tesla. It will be Uber. Plus, they have the whole food delivery category, which is incredibly popular and always evolving. So I look at Uber with all these things, and I'm thinking in my head, do I see this as a possible $120 stock this year? And the answer is yes. Okay. So I'm going to start to put in plays where I'm going to buy calls, collect premium against the position, and be comfortable if it goes down a little bit, because this is a theory now that I'm the trader. I'm not going to get too big a size, but I'm going to look to stay involved with the stock. And even this morning on the news, the CPI number came in. Uber opened it down, hit a low of 74. It's right back at 78. So that's a perfect example of like, if you have a plan and you're sticking with it, like if I'm only bullish Uber, today's a great day. Like it came in cheap. I could have traded it. You know what I mean? So that's a plan. That's like a stock I want to watch, and I only want to trade in one direction right now.
Okay. So on the overall spectrum, how rigid of a trader are you? Because I know there are some people that are basically like human computers, and there are other people that are flying by the seat of their pants. So where do you put yourself on that spectrum?
If I'm trading well, I'm rigid. If I'm flying by the seat of my pants, it means I'm not trading well. You know, I've done both. There are times where the ability to act quickly and make a fast decision on a short-term opportunity is important. In December last year, the Fed announcement, there was a day where the market just kept selling off after the Fed announcement. And if you bought cheap puts on the market, you were making a lot of money really fast. I made $28,000 that day. That's just reacting to an opportunity, you know?
Okay, so let me. I'll follow up on that. Do you ever feel like you're in like flow state when you're trading, where you're more feeling it than thinking it?
Yeah, that's the other thing. Like, and it's perfect question. It was like where I was getting stuck on my thought, and that allows me to answer. Great job, Mike. If I'm in stocks, small positions, then I'm going to see how they move before everybody else. I'm going to notice a difference because I'm watching these stocks and I can notice when something's happening. That's my edge. My edge is that I'm already in with these stocks. And if I see something start to happen on a stock I've already been in, then it's not, oh, let's just buy a lot of this. It's, I'm early. I'm right. This is happening and I see it right now. I'm getting heavy and I'm going to benefit. And when that happens, you're very much in rhythm and you're seeing things clearly and there's a lot more conviction. And those are going to be really good days. A great example is SoFi. SoFi was a stock a couple of years ago we had sold puts in and we said, we're never selling it. It's at 14. Who cares? We'll ride it to zero. We're not selling it. It went down to 4. But we were selling calls against it, collecting premium. And then it took until it got above 10, like, because you know how many times it had failed at 10, like, okay, this is going to 14. And it was in Mesh Prime, it was the biggest trade I ever put on. I also had a lot of it for myself. And SoFi not only went to 14, it went to 16, but we had been in that stock for years. We knew it so well. It was clear this thing was breaking out. We were in the quantum stocks early. We were in qubits at $1.92. And we saw it. So there were days where you could really trade it well and make a bunch of money in that. So being in early, when you're in early, you see things better.
So are you buying things to sort of force yourself to pay attention? It's an interesting, application.
Small amounts.
Like the idea of just having skin in the game.
It's positive drift. It's just making decisions, speculating, always being in play, so that when you want to make the bigger plays, you can. Okay.
So this phrase positive drift you've said it a bunch of times. Where does that come from?
Sosnoff.
Oh,
he's my main options mentor. I've interviewed him every month for the last 5 years, and no one's taught me more about trading than him. And his big thing, I mean, this is a guy who sold one company for $600 million. Then he sold Tasty Trade to IG for $1 billion. And he trades every day and nobody manages his money. The only person who, like where I said I have maybe 2% of my money in an account I trade, all of his money he trades. He manages his own money, which for me, that's crazy. That's crazy. So he is the ultimate in terms of always making decisions, always managing money, trading every single day. And he said it's all about a bunch of, and if you've ever negotiated with him, which I have, there's no 2 months, 3 months. It's, what do you want to do? No. Okay. What else? Okay. Yeah, let's do it. What do you want? Number? Good. Done. Let's go.
It's funny because Adam, I was going to say, why hasn't Adam Mesh written an options trading book called Positive Drift Trading or something like that? Interesting. It's funny about Tom Sosnoff because I remember he's always been sort of he was sort of this like underground icon with Thinkorswim, and then he became a giant. And you know what? I'm willing to bet he will live to be at least 100 years old, still trading.
I hope so.
Which is a beautiful thing.
The last interview I did with him a couple weeks ago, I had the flu. I found out that day or the day before that I had the flu, and I hadn't gotten a flu shot this year, and I was hit hard. Like my head hurt. I couldn't lift my head for hours, and I was going to cancel, or I was going to ask you to do it. You were going to do it. Remember? Yeah. And I was like, but it's Tom, and it's only once a month, and I got to be there for him. And I like literally forced myself out of bed, took emergency, whatever else I could take. And I show up and I get on the call with no voice, really headache. And he's the same way. He was sick as a dog too. And he showed up too. And, you know, that's what it's about. But I think he does it the right way. I think he's told me more than anyone else.
So back to options trading, where people do a lot of crazy things. I've noticed a funny phenomenon. If you tell somebody that an options strategy is super, super risky and dangerous, it makes them want to do it more. But I would say, what is, like, if somebody was completely new to options, haven't put on a trade yet, what would you tell them to do, and what would you tell them not to do?
I would tell them to make a trade as quickly as they can, just for one contract, but never sell a naked call. You could sell a put if you're willing to own a stock, but never sell a naked call. Never have naked exposure on the stocks. You could do a bear call spread, but I never want to see someone short naked any option call.
Okay, now did you learn that lesson the hard way by any chance? Because I feel like most people have.
No, honest. I've lost money shorting before. It's what the craziest thing is. The last stock I ever got really big short on, it's the stock you think it would be, but it's not when you think it would be.
Okay, can I guess?
You're gonna get it right away. Yeah.
I'm gonna say it's either Tesla or Palantir.
No, what's the worst stock you could have ever shorted in your life?
MicroStrategy?
Worse.
SMCI?
Worse.
Nvidia?
Worse.
I'm going through my head of like the biggest performers.
The greatest disaster short of all time. Let's ask the audience real quick, because I want to see them participate anyhow. What do you guys think?
Anybody have any idea of what this mystery short is?
They made a movie about it.
Oh, like Lehman Brothers or
after GameStop.
Oh, Adam, we are like blood brothers, because I shorted naked calls on GameStop, and I had a very bad Monday morning the next week.
So I did not short GameStop then. That's the part. Years earlier, I was convinced that GameStop was the next Blockbuster, and I started shorting it at 30. And I went on vacation, short it, and I went to kids' school function, short it. And no matter where I was, that stock was going higher. And I got out at 45, and I lost $30,000 or $40,000 shorting it then, which saved me, because a couple of years later, or maybe even 5 years later, when it went to 400 or whatever it did, God knows what I would have lost in that stock. So I was done shorting because I hated the feeling of watching a stock go up and knowing that there was no limit. And that was years ago. And the fact that I stopped, let me just watch GameStop, like, holy cow, thank God. I could have been in Disney World down $2 million if I hadn't stopped this. And I'm never shorting a stock again. Naked short. I will never naked short any stock. I'll buy puts. I'll do a bear call spread, but I will never allow infinity to be my risk again in any stock. If you do that, then you could trade with comfort. If you buy an option, your risk is the cost of the option. If you're willing to lose it, great. Now you're in the game. Make a lot of positive decisions. I know you have to go soon, so I do want to say something.
Mm-hmm. I have one more question for you after this.
You ask it, and then I'll go.
Okay. If you could order anything you want in the world for lunch, because you mentioned Uber, so it just put it in my mind. So no dietary restrictions. You don't have to worry about your waistline or anything. What would you want for lunch today?
Well, I'm gonna be a little bit vain and let you know that I'm going on vacation to an island where like I'm gonna have my shirt off for a week. So I care more about that right now than the food. But if I'm playing the game, like my favorite meal, it's usually, you want it to be lunch, not dinner. Is that
Lunch?
It's dinner.
First thing that comes to mind. You're an aggressive guy. You say what's on your mind. What comes to mind? Don't be embarrassed.
Some kind of like chicken cutlet with cheese melted on a sandwich, a little peppers, honey mustard, hero, like chicken cutlet, cheddar cheese, and honey mustard on the hero with sweet peppers, some banana peppers. That'd be good.
All right, awesome. Okay, and your final message to our friends in the audience here.
Well, I think we want to start to do this every week. I'm going away next week, but then I think we want to have a conversation like this every week. One thing I would want to probably do, I guess in the first one, it's good that everyone gets to know me, just because I think that's important. I didn't even flex on my trading stats when you get into the Fortune magazine articles and all that stuff. But anyhow, let's assume that they believe I've been successful and feel comfortable going forward. I could easily devote this call just to talking about what's in play every week too, and like the SMCI and the Qs and other things I'm watching. There's so many things that I'm watching right now that I love to talk about, like BITO and the dividend it pays, and 3D printing and the ultimate battery stock. Like there's a lot of good conversations. So my question to the audience is: do you think this is a good idea? We come back every week and have some fun talking together. Sound good? Give me a yes.
It'll take a second. The internet is a little bit delayed, but give us a yes if Adam should come back.
It's all about the audience. Like this is just much more fun when there's like people here, you know?
Yep, we got yeses coming in. Let's go. We're gonna email this video. Our friend Elliot says yes. We're gonna email this video out also to our email lists. Make sure everybody gets to know Adam. Yep, the yeses are coming in. Isn't that's the worst thing about this platform is like you ask a question and then it feels like crickets because there might be like a 20-30 second delay by the time people hear something and respond. So, okay, we're just about the 4:45 mark. Adam, thank you for coming on. This was a lot of fun.
Man, nice talking to you.
And everybody out there, thank you for listening. And remember, bring more positive drift into your life. That is what you are missing.
Are we calling it Meshflix, by the way? Are we going with that name?
I have no idea what we're doing. It might be Meshflix. We're going to see. Okay. All right, Adam, thanks a lot.